What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson. I am thrilled to be back on the podcast. I'm going, and before I get into the topic, it kind of revolves around the topic. Actually, I'm going on about basketball today and how bad the Celtics have been and how they need to get it together, what pieces they need to fix, and just coming together as a team. So to start this, I want to talk about building a team. And I spoke to CEO of Fifth Media, and we and him conversed when he was saying how he was building his team for his company, for his video company. He said he had to really know each person he wanted to work in a specific place, work in a specific job. How can this person handle these kind of situations if I put him here? And it's mostly just knowing your personnel. So when I talk about relating this to sports and business, with a business, if you're putting together a team, you want to know who you're putting in a certain position. You want to know what kind of person is right for this position. And that's with anything. Even if you're interviewing for a company, you have to be right for that position. And the same thing falls into place with sports. You look at sports and you look at any kind of sport. Everybody has to play a specific position. Everybody has to play a specific role and take pride in the role that they play in order for things to operate at a great rate. So for the Celtics, because that's what I'm going into today, for the Celtics, they have a talent. They have talent. That's no question about it. Kyrie Irving, he recently just had that thing about his team where he said nobody's playing with the sense of urgency and things like that, and they all have to come together for that one specific mindset of having a championship or bust type season. Kyrie Irving is a champion. That's no doubt. He got his ring in Cleveland, and from that point on, I feel like once you get your ring, you don't go back. You don't go back to having that same kind of mindset of being okay with losing and things like that. Look at JaVale McGee. He got his rings. Look how much he's played better and elevated his game. Because once you play on a team with a certain mentality, I should say. When you play on a team with a certain mentality, you don't reverse to your old ways, or you don't go back to how things used to be. And if you do, that's pretty messed up, because you probably didn't enjoy that special moment of winning a championship or even being able to compete for a championship. But competing for a championship is nothing like winning a championship, nothing even close. So Kyrie saying his statements about his teammates and the Celtics team, how they need to play with a sense of urgency and things like that, I have no problem with it at all. Kyrie knows exactly what it takes. He's a champion. So if anybody on the team has the right to talk about the team in a certain way, it's Kyrie Irving. Now, I do not agree with how he brought that to the media, especially in the age where media carries every story to an exaggerated point. I don't agree with that part. That he did apologize for, which I thought was great, and he said it wouldn't happen again, which I feel like needed to be said, because the last thing you want to do is have your teammates go out there and they I don't want to play for this guy. I don't want to play for the person who's on the court with me. That's the absolute last thing that you want to happen. Now going over with something that people really thought was a huge problem earlier in the season was Gordon Hayward. I do believe Gordon Hayward has become like the scapegoat for the Boston Celtics, kind of like how Kevin Love was when he was in Cleveland. Kyrie Irving, I'm sure he's heavily, or for Kyrie Irving, he is someone who's heavily motivated to win. To me, I always felt as if Kyrie Irving has had that Mamba mentality, no doubt about it. So he's going to do whatever and say whatever he can to push you to reach that next level, especially when he knows you have a certain potential that you're not living up to or playing to. So when Kyrie Irving gets on Gordon Hayward and things like that, no, it's not a big deal. He wants to win. So if he has to yell at you and tell you to do a certain thing a certain way, that's his inner champion coming out, so he can win a game and get to where he wants to be, which is ultimately to a championship. Now, taking a look at Gordon Hayward, though, he's been nowhere near as he was when he was in Utah in that 16-17 season. when he was in Utah, people looked at him as one of the top shooting guards in the league. One of the top shooting guards in the league. He was a great playmaker. He did his thing. He shot the ball. He played good in that system with the Utah Jazz and averaged 21 points per game and 24 points per game in the postseason when he was with Utah. Now, ever since he's been with the Celtics, the first year, he went down. That was a catastrophic injury, and it was just terrible. So he didn't get to play. I think he only scored 2 points that whole season. That was because it was literally the first game of the season, and early in the game, not to mention it. So ever since he's been with the Celtics, now he's averaging 10 points per game, and his numbers has decreased dramatically. So to explain this, I go back to building a team. When you have talent on the team, sometimes you have to take a back seat role. When you play with the Utah Jazz and you're the only premier ball handler, or if you're the only scorer on that team, of course you're going to stand out the most, and of course people are going to look at you like you can't do no wrong and things like that. But when you take that kind of talent and go somewhere else where there's a lot more talent to spread out throughout the team, your position is going to change. Your position is going to change. Now, referring this to an office situation, if you are an employee and you go to work every day, you do everything average, but you get transferred to a different location and everybody there busts their ass every day and does everything that they need to do to make sure that the company is running strong, and you get there and you just looking average, but you were succeeding fine at one place, but you come to this new place and it's just like average work, everything you do is just not up to par. So of course you're going to be looked at as, what is the problem? You need to get on the bus, man. You need to adjust and make change. So for Gordon Hayward, it's kind of the same situation that, again, bringing up Kevin Love. When Kevin Love was in Minnesota with the Timberwolves, he was looked at as the big star. He goes to Cleveland with LeBron and Kyrie. He's damn near an average player. He's just another player on a team who can possibly help. But I feel like that's what Gordon Hayward has became. When you have a season where Kyrie Irving, who already set a standard for himself as being a clutch shooter, a dedicated scorer, a dedicated player, wants to do nothing but win. He already set himself at a high category. And Gordon Hayward set himself as a great scorer and a great player. But he hasn't won a championship, so he doesn't get that luxury yet. But when you take those two players and you put them on one team, and you got a lot of young talent, and both of the star players go down for one season, so all that's left on that team is young talent. And they've done a lot. They did. They got to the conference finals, or they made a deep run in the playoffs. They made a deep run in the playoffs, and it was just the young guys together. So, of course, they're going to have some more confidence rolling. They're going to feel like their ego is going to get a little bit bigger. They're going to feel like they're bigger, just a tiny bit bigger than what they are. So when you bring back this alpha dog mentality back into the locker room, which I'm talking about Kyrie Irving, you bring back someone like him with the alpha dog mentality where it's like, look, I know what y'all did last year was cool, but that wasn't no championship. So I don't know why y'all happy and celebrating about being 5th seed, 4th seed, and we're still losing games. Like, we need to get it together now, so when the playoffs get here, we already set and we can win. We're not worried about maybe making a championship run or going all the way or getting eliminated in the first round or something like that. We're not worried about that because we got our stuff together right now. And that's what I think Kyrie was really, really trying to say. And all together as a team, because they have not been playing good. And I'm not blaming Gordon Hayward for this, which is why I want to get more in depth about the Celtics, because I enjoy watching the Celtics. They have Kyrie Irving is one of my favorite players, mostly because he has that alpha dog mentality, and he's relentless about it. And that's what I enjoy. I enjoy watching relentless scorers and relentless players like that. So watching Kyrie Irving play is great. But getting into overall the Celtics team and what I feel like they need to work on together is just the mindset in the locker room. It's a mental thing. At this point, it's a mental thing. Clearly, they have good pieces that they need. They have a good bench. They have good starters. They have a lot of talent on that team. But at this point, it's a mental thing. People need to get on, like Kyrie Irving said. He said they all need to get on the same page. When you look at a team, or when you're building a team, there's most likely one goal. Say if you're an entrepreneur and you're setting up, there's mostly one goal. You want everyone you hire to be on the same page as you, which is to grow, get better, and eventually, continue to grow and things like that. You want everyone to be on the same page. Whatever your mission statement may be, or whatever the idea or ultimate goal for your company may be, that's what you want everyone to come in with that same mentality on. And when Kyrie is expressing himself about the Celtics and what they're not doing as a team and how everyone's in different modes, that's him saying that we all got to be on the same page. We all got to be on the same page of championship or bust. We all know Kyrie Irving is one of those players that will watch film right after the game. Watch film. He thinks basketball all the time. Watch film, break it down before the game, stay in the gym extra hours, things like that. Talk to GMs, talk to the people higher up, make sure things are going great in terms of the organization. Try and keep everything. He's one of those people that would do everything in his will to make sure that they win a championship, because that's what he's about, winning. Kyrie Irving is about winning. But I can see where that tension comes in within the locker room when you have guys who succeeded fairly well in the past when you were not there, and then when and they feel like, we're okay, we just lost, it's okay, we only lost a game, but we just gonna coast it now and do things. So I can see where tension can clash and where people can clash when you have one person on the team. He's like, look, we need to crank the volume up on this team and put in these extra hours. You need to, and he's going to call out people as well. Like, you need to break down the film. Why aren't you watching film like this? Why aren't you preparing for this game like the way I am? You should be more hungry about it and things like that. So yes, I completely get it. And when you have someone above you saying things like that, and you just went on a deep run in the playoffs without him and the other guy who's supposedly a superstar, but did not play. Of course, it's common to feel like they're a little bit crazy or a little bit going over the top, and feel like they're doing, as people say, doing too much, doing a little too much. Like, take a chill pill. So that's completely common. But until the Celtics all get on that same mental state, once they all get on that same mental state of realizing it's a championship or bust, or the season doesn't really matter, then they're going to continue to struggle. They have to continue to communicate with each other for sure, and just come to an agreement. And everybody has to realize that, yes, a deep run in the playoffs is fine. It might protect your job or something if you're a coach, but ultimately that's not succeeding. That's not succeeding. You can get to the conference finals back to back, but you don't get to call yourself a champion. And a clear example of that is the Rockets. The Rockets have gotten there plenty of times. But ultimately, what has the Rockets done? What have the Rockets done in the postseason besides lose? You can make that argument because they have not won any championship. So if you're not winning a championship, at some point you have to realize, like, look, we're failing. We're not doing the ultimate. We're failing. This is what we're doing. And for anyone in that locker room, in that Celtics organization, to have the voice to say that we need to get stuff together, it's Kyrie Irving. Look at his resume. Him and LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors. Yes, they didn't have Kevin Durant at the time when Kyrie Irving and LeBron beat them, but that was still, we didn't even think that team could get any better. When the Warriors and the Cavaliers were playing each other, nobody seen that team getting any better. Conversations around that time was, I don't know how this team can improve. And then all of a sudden they got Kevin Durant, which of course can make any team better. But my whole point is that Kyrie Irving beat a great team in the finals. He went to the finals multiple times. He's lost in the finals, but he's been around winners. LeBron James is a winner. And when he was on that Cavaliers team, guys in that locker room, when you have someone like LeBron who leads by example, and you have someone like Kyrie with an alpha dog mentality who's going to try and make sure everyone is on the same page, it's easier for guys to adjust and realize what's going on. But ultimately, those guys had to come together, and everyone had to get on the same page. When the Warriors are having their troubles of being dysfunctional, and media takes it overboard whenever the Warriors lose about 3 games. They take that way overboard and say, are the Warriors in a slump? Or are the Warriors going to be champions again just because they lost 3 games? I really dislike that. I really dislike that. How media just takes it way overboard, as if the Warriors don't have 5 superstars as their starting 5. So that really bugs me. But as when you look at their dysfunctions, when you look at the Warriors' dysfunctional times, it's mostly because guys are on different pages. People aren't communicating properly. You don't know, or you look at the whole situation with Kevin Durant and Draymond. When they were losing games during that time, they were in a slump. Kevin Durant and Draymond, they might not have been getting along as great as people thought in the locker room and things like that. So eventually something happened where Draymond took control of a play, and it resulted badly. So their relationship was bad for a few games, but people took that out of proportion. And once they got it together, what happened? Warriors are doing great again. You got Klay dropping 47 points, 4 dribbles. Draymond is back to normal. Kevin Durant back to normal, dropping 20-something. And Stephen Curry back to shooting threes, raining it all over the place. So my whole thing is just, teams get dysfunctional at times, but ultimately, when they drop down that communication and people get on that one set page, that is what it takes. And the Celtics, they have not gotten there yet. They've been trying to get there for most of the season, but they have not gotten there yet. And there's been times where even on the sideline with Marcus Morris, it was getting scrappy there, and they called it out. But obviously, it's something dysfunctional going on in that locker room, because teammates just don't get that heated at each other on the sideline and in the game. And if they do, they snap it right back into shape and refocus their mind on winning this game. So it just comes from a dysfunctional thing. Everybody has to. It comes in the locker room. They have to communicate effectively with each other and get on the same page. In team sports, you always have to be on the same page. You cannot. It's not like single sports, like with track. I use track as an example. I know a lot of people who ran track, and some people who run track now. If you hear this, you understand what I mean. Or if you have ran track in the past, you understand what I mean. You can have your separate goal when you run the track. You can have your own separate goal when you run the track. If you feel like you want to go to states in the 400 meters or the 100-meter dash, then you can do that, because it's only on you. But now when you talk about team and you add other people and like relays, that's where you depend on other people to win. Now, each and every one of y'all have to be on the same page. First man got to be on the same page. Second got to be on the same page. Third got to be on the same page. And definitely the fourth got to be on the same page. They all got to want it just as bad. And until the Celtics want it just as bad, they're not going to be able to get a championship. Warriors are going to stay champions. And I know Warriors have some dysfunctional times where they seem like they aren't clicking together. But eventually, they find a way to snap it back, because every player on that team, or a large, if not every player, because I don't know like everybody's personality, but most of them players on that team, everybody on that team wants to win. That's all they care about. Kevin Durant wants to win. That's why him and Draymond just was like, F it. We don't even, come on, man, whatever. Let's buckle down, let's get back at it, and let's win some games. Because that's what we got to do ultimately to get back in the playoffs and to get to where we want to be. We got to win some games. So they squashed all that stuff that was going on. They're like, look, we'll deal with that when you become a free agent. If you want to leave. If you want to call me, I'll wait to call you this until after we win. Because I'm a firm believer that winning cures all. But ultimately, you have to prepare to win games. You got to prepare to win games and communicate effectively where everyone is on the same page. It's not basketball is not that kind of sport. It's not that kind of sport where it's similar to track, where one person in basketball can only do so much. One person in track, you can go as far as you want to because it can be individualistic. Even though you belong to a particular organization or team, it can be very individualistic. So if you say you want to go to states in a 100-meter dash this year, that's on you. That's on you. Ain't nobody holding you back but you. But if you say that in basketball and you playing with people who just like, well, as long as we get in the playoffs, that's going to hold you back because you have goals that set further than what their expectations are. And that's really what it comes down to. And until the Celtics get that going, they're not gonna succeed. Until they get that communicated effectively, they're not gonna succeed because other teams in the league are hungry. This is not the year for teams in the Eastern Conference to play around, especially not this year. With I'm not saying that the Eastern Conference has gotten better than the West or anything, but the Eastern Conference has gotten much more competitive in terms of conference play. It's gotten much more competitive. And this is definitely not the year for the Celtics to play around or feel like they can just easily make a road to get there because they made it pretty far last year. But you have two new players that's coming in and they have to adjust to the system and other players have to adjust to them as well. So that's really the main thing. You gotta make sure that's communicated. And bringing two new players into the organization isn't easy. Everyone gotta they gotta stay on the same page. That's really where the Celtics. The Eastern Conference is way too deep this year for the Celtics to feel like they just already got it just because LeBron left the Eastern Conference. No, it's not like that. Kawhi Leonard done came in here. Giannis is showing his behind out, man. He's playing great right now. Giannis is going crazy. Really, the Raptors. That's really my really the only teams who are a huge threat to get into the finals is in my eyes. I see the Bucks, I see the Raptors for sure, and I see the Celtics. Yeah, I see the Celtics. Other than that, I don't see. It's not too many teams on the Eastern Conference that will make a title run or anything like that. But it's some good teams on there that can beat you the first round. Don't get me wrong. There's some teams that can beat you the first round because Indiana can beat you the first round. Philly can beat you the first round. Depending on if you play them, they can get you out the first round. If you want to play around and have some dysfunctional times when you're supposed to come together and be locked in, Philly can get you out for sure. Washington, they not doing good right now, but if they get in the playoffs, they can win a game or two. That's really it. Celtics got to get it together. They're sitting at 5th seed right now. And they got to get it together, man. All along, I hope the best for the Celtics, and hopefully they do their thing and find a way to bounce back so they can make it to the playoffs and make this title run. I don't think they're going to beat the Warriors, but hopefully give them a good chance. But they got to get it together in order to do that.